How you guys doing? I got a treat for you today. We're ranking every UCS ever, so we're not including things like the Master Series. Quick note, I didn't realize that these 4 sets were actually UCS. I genuinely thought they were Master Series. I mean, they do not look like UCS sets. So we're going to go off of M&R's criteria of not including these in the ranking. The criteria that I'm going to be using is it displayable? Is it playable? How's the stud to tile ratio? If there's too many studs, not so great. Too much tile, also not so great. Is there an interior? Also like a coolness factor, so how popular is the thing that the set is based off of? And sometimes you'll see that the coolness will kind of override some of my other criteria. It just kind of depends on the set. It was really hard to rank some of these, so bear with me here. In last place, we have the old TIE Interceptor. The build is really simple even for its time. Just by looking at it, I can tell how to build the majority of it. Maybe I'm just built different, I don't know. The printed windshield piece is nice, and it's pretty flush around the rest of the build. It does have some charm with the shovels on the side. The black and blue may have been neat for the time, but I don't think it really holds up today. The backside with the mold looks surprisingly good. I'll give the old set some credit. We don't get cool molds like this anymore. This has many studs like a lot of the old sets, but maybe I'm just used to every new set being pretty tiled off. The cockpit is also well done. Next is the old X-Wing. This one I couldn't build most of just by looking at it, so I ranked it a little higher than the TIE Interceptor. The nose looks so blocky, and I'm surprised an old set like this didn't have a mold. There are not as many studs, which is good. The color scheme makes this look really ugly, and I think they shouldn't have all the tan pieces included. There's also some green, like Lego, what are we doing here? The cannons hold up really well. The window piece had stickers on it, which is unacceptable considering how much UCS sets cost. The plaque with the yellow outline goes so hard, and I kinda like having a different color other than blue. The Yoda one's up next. It's really blocky, showing its age. Towards the bottom, it looks like he's dissolving like the Wicked Witch, so I think that could have been better. His claws and hands look like AI tried to make it, as everything's all jumbled together. The robe looks good considering Lego's using blocky bricks to represent a flowing cape. Gives off Legoland vibes. The head is very well done and has some nice angling and techniques, but the face doesn't really look like him. He kinda looks like me when I'm studying for finals. You can move the eyes around, which I kinda dig. The box art with the realistic background looks really cool. Wouldn't mind owning the box more than the actual set. Naboo Starfighter uses those lovely chrome pieces that I believe can wear out pretty easily. It does look like a Naboo Starfighter, but it's just a really nice playset. Imagine a large version of this set, which is what it should have been. Other than that, there's not really much to say about this. It's really just a glorified playset. Next is the Darth Maul bust, which I ranked higher as it generally looks like Darth Maul. Making faces in any art form or sculpture is hard. Trust me, I tried painting myself. The set is old, but they did an amazing job with his face. I would say the building techniques here are a little more complicated than the Yoda. My only gripe is that the teeth, which I think age is the limit on this section. I'd like to see Lego try again on this one. Maybe with like an updated version where instead of the helmet line, they make people instead. Oh boy, I know you guys are gonna hate me on this one. The ATST. It looks like the vehicle, so I'll give it that. Again, way too many studs on a lot of these old sets. Having the hatch open is really nice. When finding photos, I found this rubber band being used to hold the walls together. Like, really, Lego? You couldn't think of anything else? The backside looks surprisingly good. Like, good enough for today, which is really strange. It's a cool vehicle, but it really needs an update, which there are rumors of this being true this year, so we'll see. But so far, I'm not impressed with this one. The Tantive 4 is a set that really shines with its molds. Having all the large turbines in the back goes so hard, even comparing it to today. The front is very conical considering the time period. The angles with the snot on the side are also really nice. It looks a little blocky in some areas, and the playset looks better than the UCS, so I feel like this needs a major update as well. There's no interior, which really ticks me off, considering this playset had a really nice one. The old Y-Wing is not the most loved ship, and it's definitely not the best technology-wise in Star Wars. The front cockpit looks a little outdated, but it's crazy that this old LEGO window piece works so well that even the new one uses it. I appreciate the greebling, but there's just so much, and it doesn't really look finished, and it's a little too thin in certain areas. The engines are well done, but I don't think the color choice looks very good, but that's sort of what the ship looks like, so maybe I just think it's an ugly ship, but hey man, that's just my opinion. The old UCS Snowspeeder has a lot of angles that are really flush with the body, and very impressive for its time. It looks very much like the ship. It doesn't look that outdated until you get to the cockpit / body area where it needs a better window piece. There are also a lot of studs showing throughout the wings, which could have been tiled off better. The cockpit looks pretty good, but it could be updated a little. The play features are lacking compared to the newer version. Not bad at all though. The Darth Vader TIE Advance would be really sick to own today. Again, that window piece is doing these sets a lot of favors. The angling around the windows are quite flush with the window piece. The printed hatch on top looks great. The studs to tile is still not great. The backside is a bit boring and flat for my liking, but the actual ship is like that, so at least it's accurate. I think it holds up well today, but there's some room for improvement. The old Falcon should have a window piece instead of this awful attempt. They had big molds back then, so I'm really surprised that this one didn't get it. The size is very impressive for its time. All the angles and greebling look good, but it really has way too many studs, and the Falcon's just kind of a boring ship to me. The middle gunner section looks really basic compared to the new one, so again, age really holds this set back. But some of the details are well done, like the vents, and don't really change much when looking at the newer version. From far away, it looks a lot like the updated one. The UCS TIE Interceptor body just looks really bad. It feels way too smooth and yet not very spherical. I agree with many that it looks like there are bandages on it. The ship is cooler than the TIE Fighter, but on a UCS level, it just doesn't look good. The wings, however, are great, with those shovel pieces paying homage to the old one. The inside cockpit is really nice with all the control panels, which should have been prints. The arm printed figure is also a great inclusion. The engine on the back is well done, so there's that. The UCS TIE Fighter body looks really rigid, but I prefer it over the Interceptor's band-aids. Everything looks very cohesive, and the gigantic wings really stand out. The printed window piece also looks more classy than the Interceptor. Again, great arm printed fig. Also, it rotates on the stand. Why did we stop doing that for UCS sets, LEGO? Bring that back. Next up is the B-Wing, a very strange ship, but very underrated in my opinion. I think this set really nailed the look. Not that you're really playing and swooshing this thing around, but it's still a nice feature to have. It also uses the track pieces around the cockpit, which is really similar to the turbines on the Razor Crest. The set is extremely long, so it would have to be designed really well to support the wings, and you could bend them, which is a cool feature. I always admire a set that you can interact with, but it's still not a cool ship, which brings this set really down on the list, but I still think it's a great build. The most recent rendition of the X-Wing is not really what everyone wanted, considering there have been 2 other previous iterations. This set needed to be made though, and it's a very good model. The thing really holding it back is the nose. I always picture the nose to be slim, but it has a really chunky Pinocchio nose. I get they want to include all the angles, but this is at the cost of making it look way too thick. The tip of the nose being white is lame, considering it's commonly gray for a nice color contrast. The engines and wings look great. The printed window piece is also a big improvement. The Luke also has arm printing, which I kind of forgot was included in this set, but I like it. Star Destroyers are really cool looking ships, so it gets points there. This thing is massive and really looks like the source material, even if it is an old set. It's not really as polished or as structurally sound as the new one, but as a display, it's aged really well, with the greebling and angles. Also, there are so many studs showing, and the size does not help with this issue. The buildable General Grievous is a really random set that just goes so hard. It's very well designed, but it does look a little outdated with the eyes. It's hard to compare a buildable figure to like a ship or a vehicle, but I still think it looks really good. And they even made his organs, which is a nice touch. His stand with the nicely detailed title card is just awesome. The lightsaber builds use studs, which I actually prefer over the buildable version with the whole piece. It helps look more Lego-like. I would love to see an updated version of this. The buildable R2-D2 holds a special place in my heart, as it was my first UCS set, and it's better than the one over $200 and the mini one with Darth Malak. Normally I complain about too many studs, but it makes the head look so spherical and appears very professional like a Legoland build. The action features are really impressive with all the things opening up, the locking mechanism on the third leg, you can pose it in 2 different ways, a very underrated set, and I wish people gave it more love. The Obi-Wan Starfighter is such a simple but elegant model. I like how it's not too small like the Naboo Starfighter, but not so large that you need a dedicated table for it. It looks so much like the source material. The building techniques look very unique with the sideways pieces, which is a breath of fresh air. The window piece is great, some printing would be nice though. There are no play features or figures, but it's so cool that I can't see myself putting it lower on the list. I get if you guys don't rank it as high, but also don't sleep on it. The second oldest UCS X-Wing knocked the look out of the park. I like how it has a little more color than the new one, but not an overwhelming amount like the old one. The nose looks slim compared to the new one. This just has one very big problem. The window has stickers. This is such a joke. But if you can overlook this, which I know it's hard, I still think it looks better than the newest one. The new Y-Wing. Guys, that box art really makes me hate our current black box art. It looks so good. The window piece with the printing on the side really elevates the cockpit. The body looks so smooth with a good amount of studs. The greebling on the back is insane, with the body in the back being a little thicker than the old version, which I really like, and are a little more polished than the old version. The gun can move by rotating a gear piece. I think it looks kind of cramped and it could have been designed better. I think it doesn't matter what you think! Bombing feature on this, but at a large scale, would be really cool, kind of like the play sets that we get. Another set that's not the coolest thing in the world, but it's really well built. The Lambda class shuttle is a dope design. These wings are so massive and very impressive how they are able to be designed, and they could be moved. So I know many people love this set, and rightfully so. It looks just like the source material, although the color scheme is a little boring. The head looks so sleek and doesn't look like Lego at all. A couple studs would have helped, and especially an interior, which a lot of sets higher up on this list have. The Lego Death Star 2 is massive and has some nice curves considering how blocky Lego is being a brick system. All the greebling detail on the side really helps make this not look like a giant boring gray ball. The giant laser with the highlighter greenish yellow is amazing, and the colors actually match. You can't really get much cooler than this thing. People who know nothing about Star Wars at least know about the Death Star. The Super Star Destroyer is a very large legendary set. Its sheer size of 4 feet in length, the inclusion of all the minifigs is really nice, even if they aren't super detailed. It has a couple of tile pieces which really help beat the old Star Destroyer. The build looks pretty basic, but again, it's accurate to the source material. The greebling studded detail in the middle nicely contrasts with the tile pieces as well. The engines on the back look so good, and the angling of the ship here is excellent. Also, this thing sort of has an interior, which I didn't even know until making this video, so well done Lego. Luke's Landspeeder, oh boy. The coolness factor really dropped compared to the Super Star Destroyer, but man is it accurate to the source material. I mean, look at that special molded window piece, that's a beauty. The wear and tear helps make this build not too boring, and it has the really unique salmon color that makes it stand out from the all gray Star Wars ships. The Luke minifig is lame but understandable, but the C-3PO let the designers cook. The printing and dual mold is immaculate. If only the sail barge had this level of detail. The quality, the build experience with the use of the tube pieces, and minifigs make it high on the list for me. The thing holding it back is, it's just not that cool. Next up is the Sandcrawler. It is really ugly to display compared to anything else, but it's accurate. You get a lot of neat figs. The interior is also very fun with a bunch of rooms. The play features are top notch, where you can put the crates inside, open the gate, move the crane, the movable track feature on the back. It's very well designed. The Landspeeder is peak displayability, and the Sandcrawler is peak playability, so two sides of the same coin. For a UCS set to be the best, it has to excel at both. You guys already know how much I don't like the Millennium Falcon, but it's arguably one of the most popular UCS sets. Its sheer size was groundbreaking for the time. The minifigure selection's a little lacking, and there's not enough interior. The interior that is there is really cramped, but the exterior design is spot on. It's just a boring ship. It does have a gunner turret play feature that comes down, and the ramp that doesn't go anywhere, so that sucks. The cockpit is way better than the older version, with an actual window piece. The stud to towel ratio is a lot better than the older one. And with new pieces for snot techniques, the middle gunner section is a lot smoother. And they didn't include a stand, which really ticks me off as it looks a lot better on its side. The sail barge, the newest one as of making this video. This set is really carried by its minifigs, probably the best minifig lineup of any UCS set. The vehicle is not that exciting at such a large scale. I absolutely love the 2013 playset, so I really don't need a giant turd log. The stud to towel ratio is pretty rough. The front angling is well done. I will say I really like the gray platform on top. It makes this set look very professional, but again, it needs studs for your figs. The solar sails are really nice, and the material used is probably better than the playset, but I kind of like the plastic version, but I'm kind of weird like that. The reason why this is so high ranked, despite all my negatives, is that it has a fully fleshed out interior. I love how the stairs and the ladder reach the top, the bar, Max Rebo's music area, jail cell, and the control area is awesome. A little overhyped, but a great set. The Republic gunship is a ship that is loved by many fans. The build is very impressive, and the bubble turrets are pretty cool to look at, which you can move along with the doors. In terms of playability, you can also spin the missile section, which is a nice inclusion. The interior is a little empty, but that's not really the designer's fault, as that's sort of what the ship looks like. I mean, the designers could have given us an actual clone pilot, or put the correct logo on the box, but I'm sure nobody really cares about that. Also, the Mace Windu should have got arm printing. This is a UCS set. I mean, the playset's got it later on. The techniques for the Republic gunship are pretty impressive, like the angling on the front, and the technique that was used to hold the wings in place, but some of the sets higher on this list have a better building experience. The stud to tile ratio is kind of weird on this set, as the front half is really well tiled off and it has a good amount of studs, but the backside just has all studs, which, I mean, they could have added like a couple tiles. It wouldn't have hurt. The A-Wing is a very classy build, where the tile to stud ratio is really well done. The special molded window is perfect for this set. The rotating guns move in sync, which adds a little play value. The cockpit with the leather seat is well built. It looks exactly like an A-Wing, and it has those really well done angles in the front, which is not easy with LEGO. It's a cool ship, but there's only so much you can include. The Venator feels like a more colorful version of the Star Destroyer. I feel like those two are very similar, and lore-wise, they're practically related. The engine sticking out in the back with minor hanging is an impressive achievement. The stickers are a huge disappointment, where the demand for the printed versions is very high. Here, displayability is a 10 out of 10, but not a whole lot to do with it besides dust it, which is sort of a play feature, I guess. The minifigs are good, like Yularen, having the dual mold boots, and Captain Rex, well, you already know what happened to him. The new Star Destroyer has no interior or playability, but just like the last set, the displayability is a 10 out of 10. A big improvement on the new Star Destroyer is that the gap in the middle is very small compared to the older one. The engines with the blue on the back are brilliant. The shaping, details, and angling make the already great older version perfect. The color scheme is gray, so not the most exciting, but an amazing set. There's not really a lot to do with this set compared to the sets lower on the list, but I think a lot of people would agree. This thing is just so cool that I had to put it pretty high on the list. The Imperial officer has dual molded boots, and the crew member is decked out in detail like his arm prints. The quality and the build experience just feel a little bit better than the Venator. While the sets going up on the list look just as good, there's a lot more to do with them. Next up is the Razor Crest. Ooh wee, do I love this set. It's displayable and playable with the ramp opening in the back, the doors on the side, all the detail with the carbonite, the ladder, and the cockpit inside is so well detailed. The door in the cockpit also swings open. The minifig selection is very good too, with Queel getting his own mold, and the OG Mando with the helmet printing and arm printing. The one problem with this set is the window. They should have made a new mold, especially for what you're paying. The Luke's land speeder is cheaper and it got its exclusive mold, so it's just lazy on LEGO's part. The stud to tile is not that great, and there's just so much tile, but it's not that big of an issue. The build itself is remarkable with the giant turbines, and the small angles leading to the cockpit are very well done. The AT-AT ranking may be placed higher, but I think it's a very close match to the Razor Crest. The displayability is amazing with its giant size, the interior is fully stacked, and matches the interior to an insane level. The cockpit with the sticker screen looks great, and the fact that you can move the head with the play feature on the body is quite amazing considering how heavy it is. Having the screw technique to adjust the legs is also genius, when they could have made the legs not as posable like many of the mechs that we get today. The minifigs are pretty generic except for General Veers. The Luke minifig is a joke with no dual mold or arm print. Stud to tile ratio is a little weird as some areas have too much tiles or studs. It's like it has random patches of hair everywhere, sort of like when I try to grow a beard. The size is pretty much the size of a dog. It doesn't poop or pee, and it doesn't shed unless you count some of the pieces falling off towards the head, and the price is probably around the same, so just get this over a dog. The UCS Slave 1 probably has the most gorgeous box art I've ever seen. This can make someone cry more than watching the end of The Notebook. The window piece is perfect for this set. The colors look so clean, the stud to tile ratio is expertly done. The arm printed boba is great, although we kind of have one today for really cheap. The play features with the missiles are well hidden, and there's a hatch to store Han and carbonite. The wings can move along with the cockpit, which is probably the most unique play feature on any UCS set. The back is also gorgeous, which you can't say for a lot of sets. And you get a stand. I'm looking at you, Falcon. For the best UCS set of all time, it is the Snow Speeder. I know, not what you were thinking. The color scheme is very nice to look at. The printed exclusive window was the main piece of the puzzle that the older one needed. The angling is very impressive, and there's not one spot left untouched. If you look at the bottom, it still has a lot of detail to admire. The cockpit is very clean, the stickers look great. You can move the small steering wheel to man the turret, like come on, how is this not so cool? The air brakes can also be turned open, and a play feature I'm not sure if everyone is aware of since it's so well hidden. The air brakes on the back can also be adjusted. The vents in the back are really unique and look great. The minifigs have arm printing, and the tubes flowing from the torso to legs are just so good, as well as the helmet printing. I think having some string to activate the harpoon would have been kind of cool, but I'm just being nitpicky. And the stand is also really nice, as you could display it at different angles. So what'd you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure one of these is controversial, if not every single one. I don't know what people think. I'm just kind of basing off my own opinion. I try not to watch a lot of other reviews just to kind of have my own opinion and not spit out what other people say, but I'm prone to some of that, I think. But overall, yeah, that's my opinion. So thank you guys for watching, and take care.